Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring back friend of the show, Dr. Ellis Whitehead. Hey Ellis, how you doing?
Hey, doing well, Danny.
Good.
You too?
Yes, all good, all good. So this week we're going to dive into pretty much keyword research, product research, just to tap on a few areas. So without further ado, let's start with the sources for the seed keyword, and then we'll taper down from there.
Well, the sources are generally the ones that are often talked about. So you need to start with some, or you don't need to. It's good if you have some domain knowledge.
Yeah.
And so if you do, then of course you can use that for the initial set of keywords that you'll start working with. There's also the Amazon auto suggest, which I find quite useful sometimes. Within in Seller Central, in the campaign manager, Amazon's suggested keywords for PPC, you can get up to 1,000 from there.
Yeah.
Those are good because they tell you what Amazon thinks the product will be relevant for. Of course, this only works if you've already created, if you have this ASIN already set up.
Listed, yeah. So it can use it as a reference point, yeah.
And so even if the keywords that are showing up in there aren't good, you can then use those as negative keywords, because that in its auto campaigns, it's going to be trying to use those keywords even if they're not good. So you can go ahead and pre-negate them. And then Brand Analytics is, after that, that's my favorite source of keywords. There are a couple ways that we go about getting the keywords there. I mean, there are quite a few. My favorite approach is to use an iterative approach where we go back and forth between the keywords where we've already said, yes, these are really going to be good keywords, and a set of ASINs where we say these ASINs are going to have the keywords that work well for them will work well for us too. And so we can look up the ASINs and find the keywords that they're ranking for, pick the ones that are where we expect to have a high conversion rate for ours, and then use all of those, look up the ASINs again, and you go back and forth. So you get keywords, you get more ASINs. With the ASINs, you get more keywords. With the new expanded set of keywords, you can get more ASINs. And at some point, this process either just stops, or you have enough keywords you don't need to continue.
Makes sense. Cool. And so next step from there.
So now that you have this set of keywords, what you want to do is you want to look up their popularity ranking or frequency ranking in Brand Analytics, or you can look up the search volume estimates in other tools like Jungle Scout and Helium 10. And what is then important is to check to see, are there keywords with enough search volume that are really specific to your product? So there are different ways to approach product launches. For some people, they have the funds to just throw money at the product until it's ranking at the top. And we have clients who, throw their 15, 20,000 per month at new products just in advertising through PPC, and then in addition they have their external campaigns.
Yep. And
that can work, but it only works for certain products, for certain niches, and for certain people who have enough money to just keep throwing that much at it for a few months. And so another thing so if that's not your case, and it's not for most people, then what's important to look for are there keywords that are really targeted to your potential product. So I suggest doing this in the product research phase, not not waiting until after you've already picked the product. Because what will often be the case is that there may be no keywords that are in the brand analytics report that are specifically targeting your product. And so if the keywords there are all much more general for a general niche, then you're going to have a very hard time using advertising to rank organically in a way that would stick. So we also have clients where if they if they run their campaigns, they can get up into the top 5 or whatever, but it won't stick. And what you need to see is that you have a good set of keywords that where your conversion rate can be expected to be higher than that of your competitors. And if not, I'd suggest keep looking for other products. It can work. It doesn't have to be the case, but if it's not the case, then you're not going to be able to use PPC as one of the levers for helping you get good ranking, unless you have a whole lot of money to throw at it for a long period of time.
That makes sense. So talk to me more about brand analytics, because obviously you get a restricted amount versus the other tools. The other tools will spit everything out, giving you down to like 0 search volume. And so you have to harvest your way through them and fight your way to the top to find out the most relevant ones and stuff. So going back to your point then, if something doesn't appear in brand analytics report, the audience are going to ask, well, what's the point? Because there is going to be a gulf, right? So what's not in the brand analytics report could be in Jungle Scout or Helium 10. So what do you do in that situation for the picking?
So we have, I guess there are 2 sides to it. One, it can be pointless, and the other, it can be fruitful. So usually it's pointless. The keywords that don't show up in brand analytics typically have less than 10 searches a day. And so if you're going to be basing your sales around keywords that have less than 10 searches a day, you better make sure you have enough of those keywords, and that your product is going to be getting most of those sales in order to make it at all worth it. And so we do have a couple clients whose strategy is based around long tail keywords. There's an advantage here, and that is the competition is definitely lower on average. And so they can get away with spending a lot less on advertising. And but there's the flip side. You need to have a lot larger variety of products, and depending, you can have a lot more cash tied up for selling all of these different products at a much lower rate. But it can be it's a perfectly legitimate strategy, but it's harder to predict based on data whether or not the new products will have the potential to be successful or not. So yes, if the products, so that's the positive side, but usually it's pointless because you usually are not going to have enough long tail keywords where your products are going to get most of the sales for those that it's worth it. And so what I suggest is for most sellers is basically, if the keyword is not in brand analytics, I'm going to say you can ignore it. It's not exactly that you can ignore it. They can be very valuable, but you cannot rely on it. You cannot rely on them, and definitely if you do not have good product specific, keywords that are specific to your product, if there's not enough demand for the keywords to be showing up in brand analytics, then you just need to do more product research till you can find something, till you can figure out something where it both has the demand and the demand, you can have something with a higher conversion rate than the competition.
Yeah, I suppose it becomes tough because you're doing product research, and then suddenly if you do find products that are in the commercial tools versus the report, then that becomes a bit of a struggle in terms of, like, well, should I go forward with it or not? And obviously the volume of keywords that come out of brand analytics is commonly quite low, I found, unless it's, US is different to EU, UK, right? Because we know there's long tail and stuff. But generally, the volume of keywords generally be smaller versus the other tools. So it's going to be difficult to always weigh those up. It's an interesting one.
The brand analytics in the US typically has about 1,200,000 keywords or so.
Yeah.
If you download the report, they'll only give you the top million. In the UK, it's around 250,000, and in Germany, it's about 400,000. And so that gives you, a sense of, and it's including keywords that have, about 10 searches or more a day. And so that gives you a sense for, well, there's only a fifth of the keywords in the UK that have enough volume to be showing up in the brand analytics report compared to the US about.
What was it you said to me the other day? We were talking about search volume in terms of getting some relative guesstimation. So if one's got a frequency of 1,000 versus 4,000, the conversion is what? I can't remember now.
So the product with the search frequency rank of 1,000 would have about twice the search volume of the one with 4,000.
Yeah. And does that go for US market and?
It's a general rule of thumb across the markets. And it's not, it's just a rule of thumb.
Rule of thumb. No, exactly. It's like the tools, like they use an algorithm, right? It's not 100% on, but it just gives you a bit of guidance when you're looking at the data to go, right. Oh, okay, should I use this search term? Is it too low, or is it too competitive, or is it somewhere in the middle? Here's a rule of thumb to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's do a quick top down. So if we're going to wrap the show here, give me 3 or 4 key points to take away from this discussion.
Well, actually, there's entirely another important
let's go there first.
And that is, when you get these thousands of keywords from the Amazon suggested PPC keywords, from Jungle Scout and Helium 10, should you be advertising? Should you dump all of these keywords into a launch campaign or an initial campaign?
Yep.
And in general, I would say, no, don't do that. It's going to be a little bit useless to have so many keywords. Whenever people do that, they find the vast majority of keywords never get any clicks.
Yeah. Or impressions. Yeah.
Yeah. And an approach that I think makes a lot more sense from a data analysis perspective later, so being able to actually use the data you get, is to first of all only put the keywords in there in your initial campaign that are in brand analytics. So use the brand analytics to filter it out, and then you can add a few more that you think are going to be to have really high conversion rates, to see whether or not they're showing up at all. And you can do those with exact match. And then for that same set of keywords, to also set up a broad match campaign. And then, of course, depending on how long the keywords are, you might be getting a lot of bad clicks sent your way. So you could consider putting a limited budget on the campaign so that you don't burn through too much money in a day. And you could consider adding in negative keywords to begin with. As I had mentioned at the beginning, you can use some of the keywords from the Amazon suggested PPC keywords, where you look through and see, no, those are bad. You could enter in some of those terms as negative keywords to begin with as well. And then the other thing that you might want to do are the explicit, like, top of search campaigns. So you could create a campaign for each keyword individually and put, your put a really high bid on it. So when I say this, I mean, it's not necessarily that you put a high bid, but you do like the 900% increase for top of search. And so you allow maybe for then 2 or 3 clicks per day in there, and you let these run for about a week. When I say you allow for 2 or 3 clicks, whatever it is you set as your bid times 10 because of this 90% increase. So let's say you set the bid to 50 cents and you put the 900% increase. That means you're bidding up to $5. You might want to set it for the fixed manual bids, not the bid up and down, in order to make sure that Amazon isn't bidding you down from that $5. Depends. And so then you might want to allow for 2 clicks. So maybe you set the campaign budget to $10, $11, $12. And this way you'll start gathering information about how much would Amazon currently charge you to get the top of search position. And if you see that it's that you're getting, if it starts giving you top of search position, then you can see what you have to pay for that and whether or not that would be something that's financially feasible for your gaining organic rank on which keywords.
Makes sense. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
Nope, that was it.
Cool. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you're looking for PPC management, you can get in contact with us, Danny at databrill.com if you're currently unhappy with your current agency, or you're looking to join an agency and you've been self-managed, get in touch. We do a discovery call. We'll take a look under the hood, best, worst keywords, etc. So yeah, get in touch. You'll also see Ellis at Seller Sessions Live on May 9th. For those who booked tickets, we have sold out. We've still got about 70 days ago or so, but there is a waiting list in case others drop out and request a refund. So we've got a wait list in place for that, and there's a handful of tickets left for Brandon Young's workshop on Friday. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.